Having the opportunity to play professionally and being drafted by the Texas Rangers, it was a tough decision not to turn professional then. But with the prospects being able to come to South Alabama and have the academic and the athletic opportunity, I decided I want to do one more year. And unfortunately, tore my elbow my third game here, had Tommy John surgery. Redshirted rehab 14 months and came back and was able to complete 2 seasons here at South Alabama. The opportunity to ask my wife to marry me right here on this field also endears special memories. And then when baseball didn't work out, to be able to take a finance degree that opened up doors for me in DC that then catapulted my career was pretty special. I've got an uncle who lives in Texas who loved baseball. He'd married my aunt later in life, and so we'd really connected over baseball. And he was the only one in my family at that time who was in business. The rest were in healthcare. And one day he said, you know, you really ought to consider going to work a political campaign. And I said, that sounds like a terrible idea. I don't have any interest in politics. Like, why would you even suggest it? And so about a month later, I got an email from a gentleman on President Bush's re-elect campaign in their accounting division. And he said, hey, I got your resume from a friend of mine. Do you want to come up here on an interview? And halfway through that interview, the gentleman said, hey, how was your flight? Did you have any delays? And I said, oh, no, I didn't have any delays. And I drove my car. He said, from Alabama for an interview? And I said, yeah. He's like, all right, so you're hired then if you'll drive here for an interview. You know, right after the campaign's over, they give you a list of all the cabinet agencies. And they say, hey, rank 1 to 10, where are your ideal positions? And I wrote in big letters across the whole board and just said, job in Alabama. And then 3 months later, I get a call from the CFO at the EPA. So I was there for a short period of time, and then got a call to go over to the White House to be a financial advisor to the president on his domestic travel budgets. I spent 2 years in the White House with the president and then traveling with him, and then had the opportunity to go over to the Department of Treasury, and then spent 3 years after that as the CFO of the NRCC. And being in DC and being sitting in the, you know, some of the highest levels, you know, of government in the country, realized that no, there are people who are going to be stepping in these spaces, making these decisions, and I have the opportunity to be one of them. And so it really completely opened my eyes, and the way I looked at the world and the way I looked at everything was no longer, well, how do I just figure out how to survive in this? It's how do I figure out how to change this? How do I figure out how to make this better? And during that period too, both my wife and I are native Alabamians, and we really wanted to come back here and be a part of it, create a pipeline, make it a place where people did want to come back, or they had opportunities to engage, but we knew we could never come back and live the way we were before. You know, we'd been changed. We saw the world differently, and knew if we came back here, we couldn't ignore, you know, some of the problems that are here. And so we're fortunate enough to be able to find the Alabama Policy Institute. And so that's what was able to bring us back with an organization that had that mission to tackle some of the state's largest issues. And then we're able to serve in that role for several years before being asked to lead it. API is in a very unique space. There's a lot of people in Montgomery who have ideas of what's best for government, the policies that are in place there. But most of them are coming at it from a very limited perspective, a certain industry, a certain person, a certain representation. What API does is look at it from a holistic standpoint from the entire state. We really represent and are voice for those who don't really have an industry or have a mechanism to communicate that to state government. We have to create equal opportunity across our state that's not been there before. And so that's what we're pushing and fighting for, is to take people from dependence to independence and representing those policies that will create maximizing, you know, flourishing and human potential within the state of Alabama.
It's such an honor for Caleb to be selected for this award, and such affirmation for me personally of the young man that I've known almost my whole life. To be able to see him grow into this amazing man that truly cares for others and is so dedicated to our state, our country, and our family. It's just such an amazing honor and encouragement.
I'm thankful for South being able to put me on this path and for those opportunities given, and hope I can live up to this great honor.